Hey guys, welcome back to YourStory.com. I'm with Satish Kannan, the founder of, co-founder of DocsApp. DocsApp is a pretty famous company. If you look at it, for those of you who always think about fundraising, they have raised 10 million. And for those of them who like scale, they've reached. How many people have you reached?
So we help around 2 lakh patients every month.
Every month now,
and more than like 7 million installs.
And 7,000 people a day.
7,000 people a day.
That's a lot of people that you take care of every day.
Yes. We provide great healthcare to all of them.
And for those of you who like building teams, they're a 300-member team.
Yes.
Right? But they're rapidly growing. I'll tell you what, today we are here to talk about why DocsApp helps rural India connect with specialist doctors.
Okay.
And the data is pretty grim. If you look at India, the doctor to patient ratio is pretty dismal.
Yes.
We have one doctor per 8,000 patients. But if you look at specialist doctors, the number could be worse, right, Satish?
So actually, as a country, we have hardly 1.5 lakh doctors, specialist doctors, for a country of, let's say, 125 crore people, right? So, and most of these specialist doctors are also in the top 10 cities. So to access to them is a big challenge for a lot of people outside the top cities. And people in the cities, it's a lot of convenience that they're able to talk to a doctor online to the platform.
So when you started this in 2013, all the way when Tarun of Ether and Vivek of iBono set up shop along with you in IIT Madras, what was the hypothesis then, and how has it changed?
Okay, so fundamentally, I worked for 1 year in Philips Healthcare. Okay. So before I graduated from IIT, then went and worked with Philips. So a lot of understanding about healthcare actually came from my stint there. So I spent a lot of time working with doctors in the cardiology division. So let's say somebody gets attack, and then we take them to the theatre, and then a lot of operation that happens for the heart attack people, right? So that is sort of the background. So all of these operations used to happen in the big cities, and people used to travel all the way from very small town to reach out to these doctors and go back.
Correct.
So that's sort of my background. And then when I left Philips, I was thinking, okay, how can I build a technology-enabled platform that can be on the mobile and on the internet, which can connect these patients with the doctors online. And that's how we got started. I came back to IIT. We got incubated at IIT Madras Incubation Cell.
And your co-founder Inba Shekhar was there with you.
Yes, so Inba is my classmate from IIT. He's also my batchmate, wingmate at hostel. So after IIT, we were like sort of sure that we wanted to do something in healthcare. So I worked with Philips Healthcare, and Inba got a job in Qualcomm. But Qualcomm was not healthcare. So we didn't go there. He didn't go there. He worked with another company in the diabetes space. And then he left that company, I left Philips, and together we started
up. It's been a long journey, and 7 million installs now.
Yes.
65% of that rural customers.
Yes.
And you were showing me a map of where people access it from. I've never heard of this village. Kamrup, is it, from Assam?
Yes.
One of the places where
that's actually one of the. I would say if you look at that pin codes, it's like one of the top 10 pin codes for us who actually use the platform to chat, call, video with a doctor and get good healthcare through DocsApp.
And today you've got 5,000 specialist doctors on the platform.
Yes.
And when you first took this model to the specialist doctor, what did they say?
Okay, so the initial reaction was like very tough. So I personally met my first 40 doctors. Today we have like 5,000 of them. I met the first 40 doctors like personally, and because I had contacts through my Philips days, I had a lot of people in the healthcare industry. I sort of like requested them, begged them, sort of got them on the platform.
But they would look for money. Is it saying that, look, if I consult with so many people on the app, they say, who's going to compensate me? Perhaps that was their question.
No, so it's a couple of things, right? So doctors essentially are already pretty busy, right? So a couple of things that they wanted. One, can you help me reach more patients? So today I am able to enable a doctor use this platform and reach out so far. So a Kamrup customer who's in Northeast can talk to a Kolkata doctor. North India, like Jammu Kashmir customers can talk to a Delhi doctor. So the doctor is able to get a lot more coverage, reach a lot more patients, and in a certain sense is also becoming digitally savvy, right? See, everything's moving digital, everything is moving online, and doctor is actually on the forefront of it by being on this platform.
Okay, and I'd like to know one thing. I mean, the largest hospital in this country,
yes,
Apollo Hospitals,
yes,
which has 70 hospitals, you said reaches only about 10,000 people a day.
Yes.
And you're already doing 7,000 a day.
Yes.
And very soon you have plans to take it to 1 lakh a day.
Yes.
And this is what the power of technology is. It allows you to scale naturally.
Fundamentally. Yes.
Fundamentally, right? But how do you do that? I mean, who's going to move the needle? Will it be smartphone consumption that will move that needle? Or will it be doctors telling all their patients that, look, you got to get into this?
Yeah, so basically it's actually a combination of points from the ecosystem, right? So there's fundamentally three different things that's moving in our country as fundamental, right? One is essentially what we call as smartphone. Everybody knows that a lot of smartphones in this country. The second is cheaper internet, good internet but cheap. So now people can do video calling very easily. People can see a lot of people doing WhatsApp calling, video calling very comfortably. The third thing is, which is the key for India. See, a lot of developed countries have smartphone and internet, but what we have special is called young people. So because we are a young nation, essentially aspirations are far higher than resources in a certain sense. So they adopt to online services much faster. And that's essentially why healthcare is growing very well, or anything for that matter is growing. Food delivery, e-commerce, education online, everything is going online. So that growth is fundamentally the key reason why it's getting better in India.
And that's not going to stop, obviously.
Yes. So I see that is one fundamental thing, right? But the underlying problem is, see, the number of doctors that we have is very less. See, we have what now I told you, 1.5 lakh doctors. We add only 5,000 to 10,000 doctors a year.
And in that, specialist doctors will be very little?
No. So this is only specialist doctors.
So 5,000 to 10,000 specialist doctors graduate every year?
Graduate every year. So I'll tell you, if you take the total number of MBBS doctors, there will be like 50,000 around for MBBS, and 1/10 of that would be like 5,000 to 10,000 doctors would be the postgraduates, school graduates. So which means you fast forward 10 years from today, you're only going to add potentially 50,000 specialist doctors. Which means underlying problem will continue to be the same, and they will all be in the big cities because they can't go out of the big cities outside Bangalore.
And how does the doctor get paid in this model?
So it's a very simple model. So it's an online platform. So doctor is actually available, and patients can talk to a doctor when he makes a payment. So platform fees is taken, and the rest of the payment goes.
And the platform fees is online only.
Oh, it's all online payment.
Is there a blended version of physical versus online?
No. So today we actually are 100% online in the sense because customers coming from all nook and corner of the country, right?
Correct.
And he cannot be able to talk. He cannot talk to a doctor without having online payment. Because if there was a physical delivery, so we also do medicine delivery and lab pickup. So let's say you can get your medicines delivered to your house and also get your blood test done at home. In that cases, we can do COD.
Okay.
But
you've not yet tried the blood test model yet?
No, we're already live. We're already live across India. So we have around 3,000 labs across the country who
this will be DocsApp labs. Oh, it's
a DocsApp partnered labs actually in the process.
And they'll go collect information?
They go collect the blood test, blood sample from your house, and the reports will come online through DocsApp.
So when the appointment happens, the doctor accesses it and therefore consults.
So let's say the doctor wants to know, okay, can you do a blood test and tell me the reports? That also can be booked on the platform, and then you can get it done.
You know, Satish, to increase reach in this model, I was earlier asking you, can we do the blended model where the leader or the person who uses a smartphone for the first time in a village can get people onto his app, or you can set people in a room like this probably and say, okay, these are the number of patients that I'm getting you every day. Can that happen?
No, it's actually a very interesting question. So it's a variation of this is already happening. So we used to see a lot of consultations coming from a couple of people, and so if you do 200, 300, 400 consultations, I'm like, it's not like one person trying to do 400 times talking to a doctor, right? So when we went down and studied all of these customers, these are all valuable insights, right? So when we went and talked to these guys, what we understood was many of them were pharmacists. So what they were trying to do was in India, who's actually the doctor? The pharmacist is the doctor in a certain sense in the smaller towns, right? So when a lot of people came and asked him, sir, iske liye kya karna hai, uske liye kya karna hai, what should I do for this health problem? Some of them he gives you, but then because a lot of these pharmacists identified DocsApp, what they do today is they actually make you talk to the doctor through the platform, and when the prescription comes, whatever.
Well, it'll go in their name, but it probably.
No, you can change the name of the. Let's say if I'm using it for my family, I can use it for my.
I can change the name.
I can change the name, all of that.
Interesting.
So he helps him connect, right? So it's a potential. Now it's an opportunity, right? And also I'll tell you. So a lot of customers have done their first online transaction on DocsApp. Though they buy on Flipkart and Amazon, but that they do on COD. But we are actually sort of one of the only few platforms where first transaction is like online, and they use, and there are many cases where they go to a nearby house where they know that guy has a credit card or a debit card, and they give him money, and that guy uses it.
That's an interesting. So, India is a very interesting country. But have you realized even the quality of data is going to be rich?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And if you ask doctors, they'll say that rural patients don't keep records.
Correct.
And this is going to be a big opportunity for you.
Yeah, definitely. So every time you talk to a doctor, so even before you start the consultation with the doctor, we collect a lot of information, sort of make your medical records and give it to the doctor to make the right diagnosis. But on the top of that, what also happens is every time you continue talking to the doctor, the system actually keeps record of that. So you are having, without knowing, in a certain sense, you're actually building the record. So it's very valuable for you, and you can access it anytime, your consultation, your prescriptions, your lab reports, your self-tests. So you can actually evaluate your health parameters even without talking to a doctor also, using multiple tests that's there on the platform.
So you're going to add, increase the number of doctors next 18 months?
Yes. So today we have around 5,000 plus doctors on the platform. We will continue to grow this, and we will potentially get to around 20,000 doctors is what we are looking at.
And then how many do you want to keep active? At least 20% of the doctors.
Yeah, so basically how we do it is also because even today, though there are 5,000 doctors who have agreed to be on the platform and they've requested us to make them active, we have activated a fewer set of doctors based on how many consultations we are able to give to
them. And the quality and...
Yes. Okay. So what we always ensure is every time a doctor gets on our platform, we ensure that he gets good number of consultations and he is also engaged on our platform.
Because he gives you a specific time, right?
Yes. So he gives you like 2 to 3 hours, and so we ensure that we are able to engage him and provide him good number of patients, as well as good revenue, as well as good consultations on the platform.
And doctors, do they take their share of the pie, a large share of the pie? How much does?
No, it's a very fair. It's a very fair share. So most of the platform shares are very common. It's like anywhere in the 20 to 30% range.
And then the reason I brought it up is, Satish, you have to correct me here if I'm wrong. I'm going to bring it up. It's going to be a tough question simply because people blame Swiggy and Book My Show for taking 30% of the order value. Would it be the same for you?
Okay, so basically how we should look at all these platforms fundamentally is, are we able to provide both sides of the platform, right? So for me, my customer is from, let's say, Kamrup, it's from Assam, right?
Correct.
And I'm a doctor on their side. So we have to ensure that we do the right set of marketing,
the pricing,
the right set of pricing, right set of marketing for this customer, identify the right set of high quality doctors on this side, build the technology layer, and ensure that this happens. And we're also taking the responsibility in a certain sense, right? When something goes wrong on Swiggy or something goes wrong on Zomato, you call one of the customer support guys. So it helps and brings a lot more business and revenue, both for the doctor side and the customer side, and huge value for it. See, otherwise I'll tell you, my customer from Kamrup would have to travel 1,000 kilometers. If you just go to Google Maps and put Kamrup and Kolkata,
I would suggest check that out, guys.
You should check it out. Exactly. Kamrup to Kolkata is 1,000 kilometers.
For a specialist doctor.
Think about you taking a bus or train or whatever, and then you lose 2 days. So it's a very different scenario. So in order to build such great platforms, it's necessary that these platforms have to charge. See, in spite of this, a lot of us are losing money because we're building it for the future. But it's very critical for such platforms to come up, which will provide great value to everybody in the ecosystem.
What did $1 million sound like when you first raised it?
No, see, it's actually.
How have you evolved since then?
No, see, it's like this. No, so when you're very small, right? When you're when I started, I and Inba were the two guys, and we were staying in a shared apartment, a shared office. Everything is like shared, right? We had a 20-member team, 20-member office, and I had got 5 seats out of that. Okay, and I was sharing this among that.
And you did the sales yourself?
I did the sales. I went on my bike and then talked to the doctors, convinced them, and all of them. So at different stages, so today we are 300-member team, right? So the cost, the things are all different, but so. Might be earlier $1 million was big, today 10 million is decent, tomorrow 100 million will be okay. So it's more about how many people are we able to help. And you need to build the right technology, the operations for that, right? Because if I'm helping 7,000 people, I need to have the right set of people.
And soon 1 lakh people a day, you're saying.
Yes, that's our focus. Let's say fast forward 3 years from today, we should be helping 1 lakh people a day, lakh patients a day, and that will be 10 times bigger than any hospital in the country.
Yeah, because the largest hospital today does 10,000 across 70 hospitals.
Across 70 hospitals. So can I do 10 times that number and help that many more people, right? You see, in these hospitals also, these patients travel from their houses or hometowns and come to the hospital, right? The hospitals are
going to cut down their cost.
So that's why the cost is also lower, right? You don't travel, you don't take the time out, and then I don't have the infrastructure cost. Now, having said that, what I would like to clarify is, we can do a lot of things online. Whatever we have to do offline, let's do offline. We will identify what's the right set of things and send it to the doctors.
Okay, offline. I want to ask you that. Thanks for bringing that up. Can you integrate insurance onto your platform?
Okay, so there is, if you look at it carefully, there's something called as healthcare delivery. Then there's something called as healthcare financing.
Yes.
Okay, there's slightly different conversations, because today you go to a doctor, either you pay or your insurer pays on your behalf, or if you are working in a company, the company pays on your behalf, or the government pays on your behalf. So there are fundamentally 4 payers, right? It can be you paying for yourself, insurer paying for you, corporate paying for you, government paying for you, like very poor and section, right? Now, financing is a very different game fundamentally. We partner with a lot of insurance companies to provide healthcare to their covered policy members.
So
that
you do have partners.
We have to do partnerships with them.
You have to do partnerships, and that's possible.
That's possible. No, we do that. Actually.
You're already doing it?
Yeah, we work with a lot of insurance companies to help them provide good healthcare to their policy holders.
Interesting. Okay. How do you scale to 300 members?
Yes.
From 20 members? Yes. And again, how does that change you as a leader?
Yeah. So basically what happens is at different stages of the company, you have to, as a leader also, as well as a team member also, you have to sort of work very differently. Now, in the early days, you're pretty much doing everything yourself, right? In the second stage of it, you sort of have a team where you can actually delegate them and get them work done in the process, right? In the third stage of it is what we call as sort of like the coaching stage, where you can't do everything, but you identify the right guy and sort of give him the right set of inputs.
Delegate.
No, second stage is delegate. The third stage you still have to coach them. Because when you actually company grows, right, everybody also has to grow. So you grow, so they have to grow, right? So they may be very good at this level, but when the next level comes, we have to coach them. So we spend a lot of time doing it.
Do you get coached yourself?
Yes. So I spend a lot of time with large entrepreneurs, people who have like exited, they worked a lot. So they've been like extremely helpful for me through the ecosystems.
Why do you don't exit entrepreneurs? You can build an institution.
Why?
I mean, exit entrepreneurs will bring great valuation exit, right? You're building a great company.
No, it's not like that. So okay, there are two kinds of. It also depends on how much time they have, right? So a lot of times what happens is exit means okay, not like that. I'm saying people who have been CEOs of large companies and now they're retired.
I get it.
Some of them actually have. I think some of them exited, some of them still run large companies, but they're like very large.
They give you what, 2 hours a week maybe, or do you have a specific time?
No, so I have like spent half day and all with them. So I have
giving a typical time. What do they coach you on? Don't mention the names.
Yes.
How do they coach you?
No, I'll tell you. So a couple of problems fundamentally that you say. So one, how do you scale the business? Right? When you scale the business, when you have like a 10-member team and you got 100 customers, it's very easy to meet one by one, understand their problems and solve it. Right? If they call the customer support, I pick up the customer support and solve it. But then when you grow from 100 customers to 1,000 and 1,000 to 10,000, it actually varies. So there's a rule, it's called rule of 3. If you know Rakuten, so the CEO of Rakuten keeps saying that's called as rule of 3. Every time the business grows 3 times, let's say today you're helping 100 people, then you're helping 300, then 1,000, then 3,000. Every time the business metrics grows 3 times, everything in your company will break. So right from your technology stack will break, because while your app is now accustomed to helping 1,000 people, if 10,000 people open your app, it'll just break. So technology will break, people systems will break, because while 10 people are there, you don't have to worry about your salaries. You get your salary on time done.
Correct.
When you have 300 people, I can't process salary. So you have a team to process them. So then people processes will break, including your internet will break. So if you have 300 connections to your internet, it'll just break. So today we have like 6 connections at the back end. There is a multiplexer. No, all of this is essentially scale problems, right? So right from people, technology, operations, funding, scale, everything changes. Business, marketing. So earlier you would do marketing at a very small level. Everybody would do word of mouth. But once you start growing, you
need to create processes.
Yes, for all of them, right? Fundamentally. So and they also change.
And these are processes that are not theoretically written things.
Yes. So that is essentially where a lot of my, let's say, senior entrepreneurs help us a lot. So the ecosystem is extremely good. So between my investors, between other entrepreneurs that I've met, enormous number of them. So they have helped me in all parts of it. How do you hiring, right? So let's say you are, earlier it used to be friends that you can, so I can call my IT classmates, I'd say, hey dude, I want an engineer, you get him. But once you get like 40, 50, 100 engineers, then you can't get the next engineer, right? So you have to get the VP engineering, all of them. So the kind of, a lot of them have even helped me in taking an interview of the senior guy.
Fantastic.
Because how do you evaluate a person for the next stage, right? So they are sat with me in the interview, and they would do the interview for me.
Very kind of them, man.
No, a lot of them do that, actually. So when I talk to them also, they call it as sort of like paying it forward. So you can't pay it back. Is what is.
So that's amazing how you're also mentoring a lot of leaders now.
Yes.
Because you've gone to the second stage of the 3X, right?
No, I would say yes, true. Because a lot of my friends from might be college, from outside the college, whenever I give talks, so a lot of them also ask me questions around what I should do in healthcare, how I might raise my first round, let's say 1 million or whatever, and what are the set of things that I do for product market fit. A lot of these things that you learn.
Interesting.
Whether your product works or not. See, sometimes you get 100 customers, but you still don't know whether that's the right product that can like scale to like lakh customers, right? So you have to understand what is product market fit. So all of this sort of I learned from a lot of people, and I'm still continuing to learn for scale problems. But a lot of them are maybe the like earlier part of it.
Let me ask you this question. A lot of people read books.
Yes.
You know, Merlin Manson. You know, one of them. I mean, people talk about Mark Manson. Merlin Manson is a metal guitarist, I think. Then you know, people read about self-help books.
Yeah.
All that doesn't work, right? In the real world.
No. So I will tell you. So actually, what are the ways in which you fundamentally grow, right? Either you work, you study, you read up, or you talk to people who have been doing this, and then sometimes spend some time reflecting on whether it's right or wrong, right? So I personally have found that reading books fundamentally gives you a lot of viewpoints, and there are very, very good quality books that's there in the market. A lot of them is pretty famous actually. So these are clearly written for different stages. Product market fit books are there, scaling books are there, hiring people, hiring means hiring and managing a large workforce is there, because at the end of the day we are all a knowledge company, right? It's all technology, it's all software. So you need to know how to build a great company, which is the only capital in that place is people, right?
So what are you reading, if I may ask you?
Okay, so I have read like multiple of them. So now, so as we speak, I'm reading another book called, it's a book on Bill Campbell. It's called $1 Trillion Coach. So basically, he's one of the best coaches.
Yes, I've heard
for
Bill Campbell.
Bill Campbell, right? He was one of the best coaches for a lot of companies in the US, in the Valley. And there's a book that is written on him about how he coached, essentially how you become a leader, right?
CEOs, yes.
Coached a lot of CEOs, what he coached them, right? So that's actually one of the books that I'm reading now as we speak. And there's another book called Extreme Ownership. I think that's another very good book on how you build ownership among people. So this is some of the books that I'm reading now. And a lot of my learning...
Extreme Ownership.
Extreme Ownership. So it's actually a book by a Navy SEAL.
Okay.
So when you work as a team,
it talks about accountability in being a team.
Yes. So because let's say if you're going for a war and the SEAL team would be like 10 people or 20 people, right? So think like that. Startups also never have like 1,000 people to work on anything. It's like 10 people, 20 people, and they pretty much should like work across to ensure that the solution or the output is coming out very well in the product.
You know, we gather a lot from the Valley.
Yes.
Naturally, because that ecosystem is
it's more developed.
bigger.
They're like 10 years, 20 years ahead of us.
Right. So if you have to bring Indianness to your business,
yes.
Is there anything?
No, I'll tell you, exactly, right? So what works in the Valley, you should learn a lot of these things. But what works for India market, we have to modify. I'll give you a couple of examples, right? The whole of US does not have to worry about language. See,
homogeneous.
Yeah, homogeneous, right? So our we have doctors who can speak to you in 16 languages.
That's well said.
And my application is available now in Hindi and will potentially be available in other 5 languages. So you have to build that much more complexity into the product, technology, applications and all of them. There's one of them, right? Second, right? So the first time when I launched my application, I could not get online payments done. So you know what people used to do? They used to call me, I was very small that time, right? People used to call us and say, sir, हमारे पास credit card, debit card नहीं है, आप अपना phone number बोलो, मैं आपका phone recharge करूँगा.
Right. So sad.
So no,
that's the level.
No, I would say it is like
for them also.
No. So I would always look at it as aspiration when it's greater than resources.
Yes.
You will always innovate. So India is a very innovative country for that matter. Some people call it Jugaad. If you put process into Jugaad, you will become a great company. Basically, Jugaad is without process.
Yes.
But once you take Jugaad plus process,
which is what you've done now. A lot of people transact online. Correct. With UPI. It's even cheap.
So it's getting better now. We also enabled career billing at that time. So now we have stopped that. So people could pay using mobile phone balance through the system.
With the data used.
Yeah, with the data. So all of this was already done by the backend. So these are all things that we have to do for India as a country, right? Example. The reason why our application is very easy to use is because when I was trying to build a software, I was trying to find out what is the software that everybody knows to use. It's like WhatsApp and Facebook, right? So people still know very easily how to open the camera, take a picture, press the call button, press the video button, upload, download. It might look very easy for you and me, but if you like travel 100 kilometers out, pretty much all of these people are not tech savvy, but they still know how to do that, right? So, which means what? We have to build softwares which is like user friendly to the extent that it's like WhatsApp.
So your chat must be that good. Or
Yeah,
your video streaming
yes,
must be that
that good. All of this, right? So that's why this is called as, in a certain sense, building. So a lot of these things you learn from there, but essentially when you look at product market fit, the problems in India. For example, I'll tell you, another problem is what in India all of the healthcare is out of pocket. That means I pay for me. But if you go to US, you go to Japan,
all insurance.
it's all insurance or it's all government, right? So it's very different. So that means the way they work is very different because they don't have to worry about it. They just have to go to flash their card and they'll get healthcare. In our country, it's not like that.
So that's an advice you give to the younger people out there, that when they build something, they got to understand how an Indian, be it language, be it whether the service would work, the network would work in their regions.
Correct. No, so it's culturally also a lot of challenge, right? A lady would want to talk to a lady doctor only. It's a very cultural thing. It may not be so much, it might be in other countries, I don't know. But in our place, it's like that. I would like to talk, if a lady wants to talk, she will talk to a lady doctor only. Which means you need to understand that thing and then provide them. Otherwise,
I've seen this in Tamil Nadu. Usually doctors from different places come to, big hospitals.
Yes.
And, there's usually a nurse translating to people.
Yes.
Can that happen in this case also?
Okay, so what we're doing today is because in most of the cases, we got a doctor who could speak that language. Because that's that much more easier. Because your comfort level is that much more better. Very rare cases only I've seen that where we actually have a nurse who translates it for the doctor and then in the sense of thing, but that's like a very fair thing.
But this is like a social network of doctors and patients. I mean, I'm looking at it that way. It's, it takes time though to build such businesses, right?
Yeah, so see, basically any platforms fundamentally take a significant amount of time we call it marketplace liquidity. In the sense, you need to have the doctors on this side, customers on this side. Any other platform for that matter. If you take any delivery platform, they need to get all the restaurants on one side, customers on one side, and then match both of them. Flipkart has to get all the suppliers on board and all of them.
But in your case, doctors don't have to pay to show up the ladder and all that. That's the difference.
So the fundamental difference in our platform is we don't take any revenue or anything from the doctor. You just have to be on the platform and provide great.
Okay, there's one audience question. Do you want to take it?
Yeah,
this is from Soumya, who's a regular on the show.
Yes.
She's saying remote areas have very unreliable internet networks.
Yes.
How do you manage that?
No, definitely. So actually, in a certain sense, WhatsApp has managed it, right? Which means we need to build great technology that actually can work at extremely poor internet connections. So we have that fall through, right? There is a video connection. If the video is bad, you can do a call. If the call is bad, we don't do an internet call. We do a normal call.
Okay, 2G. So it works in 2G.
No, I mean not the internet call.
Network.
The normal call. The Airtel call, the Vodafone.
It's not a VoIP.
It's not a VoIP. So we have options for all of them. So if the internet is bad, you move to the normal Airtel calling, and otherwise you have a chat. So essentially all layers are there.
And the photograph can be sent separately on a chat.
Yes. So and then photograph can slowly upload. So you can see, right? WhatsApp has sort of made it such that you might have like extremely poor internet connection. Whenever it catches internet, it will send bit by bit and get it off. So we have done that's another way of sort of like requiring to do Indianization because you don't worry about internet connections anywhere else, right? But we also have to worry about variations in the mobile phones, right? Mobile phones are actually smaller town mobile phones will be sometimes low quality, sometimes have lower bandwidth, right? So or lower RAM, all of them. So you have to like optimize for all of that, and that's all being done at the platform. Because see, at the end of the day, if you're able to get your WhatsApp message gone across, it's more important that the doctor's message is like seen very, very effectively. So that's why a lot of this technology is helping.
There's a lot more questions on the show. We're running out of time. Maybe your team can take it offline and answer on your behalf. Yeah. I know Chinmay, you're a regular on the show and you've asked a question. But let's try to answer it quick. Let's not disappoint him. Would you please do the SWOT analysis of DocsApp? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats.
Okay, no. See, fundamentally, what are the things that we do? Like strength, right? So fundamentally, we are extremely focused on the consumer. The reason why we did a lot of these changes in the application, product. So if you are from us, we believe that customer satisfaction is number one for us, and that itself is our strength for us in the process. Weaknesses is today we still have to figure out how to communicate to the small town customer. See, I understand how to communicate to a tier 1 customer, a Bangalore, Bombay, Delhi customer. How do I communicate effectively to a tier 2, 3, 4 customer? And that's like a weakness area in the process. Opportunities, that itself is a large opportunity. See, healthcare by itself is a very large area, and digitizing or digital healthcare itself is a great opportunity too in the process. So now
opportunities and threats.
The last one is threats. No, so threat is essentially is what potentially a offline hospital can build out a platform like us. For me, like a big threat for me. But it's always called as it's potentially there, right? Yeah. See, because there was always a offline large player, and then there is a Flipkart on this side, right? And so it's essentially the same kind of thing. So we'll potentially look at.
But you're doing a wonderful job. I hope people like Harvard and University of Berkeley check this out as a bottom of pyramid kind of a case study, and I hope somebody looks at it. And guys, check out DocsApp. They serve 65% of the customers are rural. I know most of the Indians have cousins in rural areas. Do recommend it.
Yes.
And check them out. They're on a growth path. For more information, you can drop us more questions. I can get Satish to answer it. Satish, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you. It's a great end to the weekend, guys. Check out DocsApp once again, and I'll see you soon.
So just to add to that, so DocsApp is used both by city guys for convenience and the small town guys for access. So
whatever works for you.
Whatever works for you.
Okay, take care. Bye, guys.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Satish.
Yeah, perfect.
And thanks for those book recommendations.
Yeah, perfect. Yes.
Bill Campbell, man. Last year I met. I think there was something on LA for about 10 minutes, and I got to see him for 10 minutes.
Okay.
And I heard he charges you if you get a personal meeting with